Ladies and gentlemen, it's indeed a great privilege to be here with all of you on this very cold weather, and I am personally thankful indeed for the very generous and kind words by Sir Gerald Kaufman and Chair of the Circle of Literary Friends. First of all, I would like to mention about the children who presented a very thoughtful and beautiful tableau. It's indeed takes a lot of hard work to arrange such things. So that's a good. Let me first mention few points which have been raised, and then we can speak on Jinnah. And one point is about machine-readable passport. Let me admit that it's my responsibility that I have not been successful to get this very important. I think that should have been here maybe 6 months back, maybe 2 years back. The first thing, when I joined this office, I spoke to the Minister of State then in Interior and requested him that this is the most important thing which should be here. And in fact, I spoke to the Ministry of Interior a few days back on this issue. Recently in July, I was in Pakistan, and especially I made a point to go to Islamabad and meet the official there. I'm glad that there seems to be a progress in near future. I'm not sure how much time it will take, maybe 1 month or maybe 1 month and a half or something. But we are hoping, as the High Commissioner has also tried for this, we are hoping that this facility would be very soon available in Bradford. In fact, I had talked to as I said, to the Interior Ministry 2-3 days back, and someone is also visiting the consulate here to see the technical details. I have made a little arrangement because the problem was of like area availability inside the premises of the consulates. So we have made a provision of another room, and someone from the High Commission is likely to visit on Monday, I am told, to see whether this is technically, so how they are going to do about it. So while I admit like it's solely my responsibility, I should have been able to persuade, but in any case, we are trying our best, and hopefully it should be done. Maybe I may not be given maybe 1 month or 2 months or something, but it's in the pipeline. And for me, it's personally, it's the most important thing which should be available here. The second, as Sir Gerald Kaufman mentioned about right of abode, I had requested him for a meeting maybe next week, subject to his availability, and I would definitely like to, whatsoever, with his kind help and support, I hope whatsoever we can do, we will try our best. Like Anwar Saab mentioned about education of him, education or posting of our education attaché and some classes for our community on English and history or something. So I would be glad to sit with him, with Anwar Saab, and if consulate can work out any modalities with the help of community, we would be happy to assist in any way. But primarily, in my view, this should be done in the community centers and those areas, and community should be able to request the experts to come and on weekly classes or something like that. So community center should be, I think, the center of the focus. And if anyhow the consulate can do anything on this subject, I would definitely, I would love to do that. On other two important, like one thing I want to mention here. Most probably in 15 days or 20 days, we have visa services we would be doing through the one courier service. They will be collecting the applications and passports. They are working on opening an office, so they will collect the applications, and then they will bring to the consulates. So most probably from first week of February, visa services will be through a courier service. So I am not sure so where they are getting this office. Most probably it would be in Cheethamil, and then they will process the applications and bring to the consulate. When we talk about the profit, naturally it's I would see as from two perspectives. One perspective is perspective of a Muslim, and the second perspective is the perspective of it suggests as a human being. From perspective of Muslims, we have a very kind of deep and deep relationship, and it has different dimensions. The first dimension is kind of obeying whatsoever is the Prophet says. In this regard, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Quran says, Atiyullah wa atiyur Rasul. Obey Allah and obey your Prophet. So obedience to the prophets, whatsoever he says, is unconditional, like obedience to Allah. So that's the first kind of relationship as a Muslim we do have with the Prophet. The second most important relationship is of love and respect. We can't be a Muslim unless we give respect to the Prophet, and we love the Prophet above everything else, including our families, including our parents, including our children, everyone else. So this love comes first than anything else. So that kind of relation is a relationship of obedience and a relationship of love and respect. Hafiz Jalandhari on this said, Muhammad se mohabbat deen haq ki shart awwal hai. Muhammad se mohabbat deen haq ki shart awwal hai. Agar isi mein hai khami to sab kuch namukammal hai. So that's the basis which Muslims believe. The second is from the perspective of a human being. So if we see that, if we want to evaluate anybody or role of anyone's in the history, in the society as a general, so I don't know, so what's the non-Muslim may think or whatsoever it is, but I really don't see any, from my own study of history, I don't see anyone else who has this kind of very deep and strong relationship on the history. If you see the influence at this point of time when the Prophet has died 1400 years back, about more than 1 billion people has this kind of relationship which I mentioned earlier, and that's a relationship of obedience and a relationship of love and respect. So you don't see anyone in the history, while all the prophets are respectable, Moses is I can't be a Muslim unless I respect Moses and respect from my heart, bottom of my heart. I can't be a Muslim unless I respect Jesus or all the prophets. But when we see from a neutral observer, so if you see the influence on the history, influence of a not, if you don't believe, if you just see influence of a person on the history, you will see no one has such a great influence on, so you see the influence on more than 1 billion people, influence of obedience, influence of love and respect. The second, you will see that this is a man whose every action has been preserved by the history. There are hundreds of thousands of books written about him, and we don't see anyone else in the history, a human history. We have such a description of a personality, his actions, his deeds, how he was a father, how he was a leader, how he was a teacher, how was he like so you see any area of life, you will see something which is preserved and what the Prophet did. So that's a kind of influence. And if you see the history of wars, what kind of rules he gave, history of statehood, what kind of society he established, how he governed the society, how he changed the society. So any perspective we see, so we see the influence. No one else matches this influence, so that's a greatness. On Qaid-e-Azam of Muhammad Ali Jinnah, when we see the period when he came, when he has a role, that's if you see the First World War I, and then the Second World War was, the period was there. So after Tariq-e-Khilafat, failure of Tariq-e-Khilafat in early 20s, there was a despondency, there was results of First World War also. At one point of time, 1932 or 33, the Muslim League has only 323 members in early 30s. Then we see the Qaid-e-Azam, he was persuaded, he came here, he was not very hopeful of Muslims' role because they're infighting of leadership and those sort of things. So when he was persuaded and he tried his best, and when then we see that within a very short span of time, within resolution of Pakistan was passed in 40s, and within 7 years, Pakistan was achieved. So we see that influence. This influence has been described by the historian, like Ishtiaq Hussain mentions it. That's as Sir Gerald Kaufman rightly said, that there would have been no Pakistan if there was no Qaid-e-Azam. So historians find two factors most important in creation of Pakistan, and one factor is personality and personality of Qaid-e-Azam. Other factor they mention is narrow-mindedness of Hinduism, Hindu and their attitude towards Muslim and the communities, minorities. So we can really be thankful to such a person, and we are blessed with a person who can, who transformed the society, who transformed the Muslims and got this this state. And in the end, I would like to thank to the circle of literary friends. Again, would like to thank Sir Gerald Kaufman for his presence and very wise words, which has a wisdom not only 43 years of parliamentary experience, but before that, so he has. So we are grateful for his words of kindness. So I hope you will enjoy the rest. You have a mushara after this. So thank you very much.
Thank you.